Right then, this is the first one of these I've done for shooting things, so this will be interesting. I was very fortunate that Daystate agreed to lend me a rifle and have agreed to hopefully lend me some more as we sort of go through this process. But the first one was the Daystate Huntsman Revere. This is a 177 sub 12 foot-pound air rifle, PCP, and quite a compact, light bit of kit. I thought I've used it for a while, and it's about time to actually give it a good review. Talk about what I think about it as someone who's relatively new to air rifle shooting, and whether I'd recommend it for people. So we'll start off by talking about how you recharge it. On the bottom here, there's a little collar that rotates. Probe goes in there. At the moment, I'm using a Hills pump. Pump it up to 250 bar, and yeah, away you go. We are going to get this on the chronograph shortly, and you will see what sort of figures we get out of that. That'll be at the end of this video. It'll also be a section in our other video where I'm learning how to chronograph something. So that is what we have. One thing I've found that I really like about this compared to the air rifle I was using before is from full down to about 100 bar, it feels like the power is consistent. It's going to be really interesting to check throughout the day to see if it does keep that consistency. But with the HEMA regulator in there, it seems to keep a nice steady pressure all the way through. There's an adjustable comb, which I've found to be really useful as someone who's a slightly odd shape. It's been quite nice to get sort of nestled into the back of a scope with. At the moment, I'm using a HIC Micro Alpex 4K Lite with a rangefinder on it. Again, really interesting bit of kit in combination with this. A couple of things I'll touch on in terms of that I'm not super keen on. But overall, really happy with this. The moderator on the front does a really nice job of keeping things sort of really quiet and, yeah, stopping any sort of weirdness going on. It keeps everything nice and consistent. There's an adjustable trigger that I have not adjusted in any way because I don't really know what I want. It's something I'm going to have a play around with, but as it is, really nice to use. Safety catches on the back. It's positioned where it's slightly awkward to use, but in quite a positive way. It's not something I've ever knocked by mistake, and you just have to essentially move your hand off the trigger to be able to flick it into a firing position, which is not a bad thing at all. A super light rifle though. Really nice to sort of carry around. As you can see, there are no sort of obvious places to attach a sling. If this was my rifle 100%, I would be drilling holes in it, mainly because of the type of shooting we're doing. But taking it down to the range where you set up on a bag, you get nice and comfy. It is stunning. You're putting pellet on pellet, really nice and consistently, really nice to shoot. The magazine is a spring-loaded sort of rotary magazine, fills up. It's a little bit awkward to get that first pellet in, but once that first pellet's in, it locks in place. Fill it back up and it loads from the side. You want to make sure that as you're sort of retracting the handle, the pin that sort of pushes the pellet into place, that goes out the way. This is unloaded just so we all know everything is safe. The magazine will gracefully slide in and then we are ready to fire. No pellets in, no pellets in the magazine, so I'm going to discharge the rifle into an empty room just so I can keep moving things around. On the side of the rifle, there is a cocking handle. There'll be a little bit of B-rolling about this, but that is an absolute pleasure to use. This section of the pull, essentially zero resistance, and then it feels like a little magnetic pull at the start. And then to get it sort of fully cocked, one finger, and there we're ready to fire. Again, trigger's nice and light. For me, I've not adjusted it, but I quite like that light pull. There is a little bit of a first pull, so you're not sort of twitchy on it, but really nice to fire. One thing I'm not keen on though is the magazine you want the number of shots that it gives you. It's really nice to have those number of shots, but in this configuration with this scope, there's sort of a bit of stuff going on down here, which means I've had to adjust things to. I'm not that keen. I'd like things to be a little bit more further forward. Being quite a big guy, I want to be able to sit in behind the rifle. With the magazine sitting so proud, it was fouling the scope a little bit. There's a bit of an issue getting those sort of working together. Need fairly high sort of scope mounts, and then means raising the cheek piece up. But now everything works together. It works really nicely. Like I say, as a bench rifle or for something where you're sort of going to a spot, setting up a bit of an ambush, and you're shooting from one place, I would say this is an absolutely phenomenal bit of kit to be using. Super light. It's not fatiguing. It's not really fatiguing to carry sort of one-handed with a set of sticks. But for crossing gates, getting through stuff, if I've got the dogs out with me, I would much rather it have a sling on. But it doesn't, so you sort of have to deal with what you've got. But lovely bit of kit. We're going to talk about sort of the power that we're getting out of it, the consistency, and then we'll be out on the hill doing a little bit of pest control with this air rifle. There'll be some scope footage from the Hick scope, and we will see how everything goes. But yeah, really, really grateful to have the opportunity to use something like this. Really looking forward to trying out more Daystate rifles and some Brococks, and it's just been fascinating to see subtle differences and subtle tweaks you can get as you sort of move through. But really happy with this bit of kit. Looking forward to getting it on the sticks, getting it through the chrono, and seeing exactly what power we're getting out of it. There'll be figures on a little table or something where me and Alex are still figuring out all of this process. But yeah, lovely bit of kit. Safari stock on it is textured in a way that is nice, comfy to use with gloves. But yeah, lovely rifle. Would highly recommend using it, and we'll see some footage of us out on the hill.